What happens now?
Are you building some kind of case against Jimmy?
Anyone who goes after him is going to have to come through me.
You're not seeing the bigger picture.
Hey guys, Pete here. Today I'm going to do a preview for Better Call Saul Season 6, Episode 3. They continue with the titling convention of a something and a something. Wine and roses, carrot and stick, and now rock and a hard place. There's one really short teaser for just the third episode, and then a longer one that was titled This Season on Better Call Saul, which likely has clips from the entire first half of the season. I'm going to be talking about both of those, looking back at some other teasers that are out there, and things from interviews and promo photos for Season 6. Before I get into those things, which some might consider to be spoilers, I wanted to address a question first that kept coming up in the comments of my last video. People were confused about why Gus gave away the safe house's location in the letter he planted in Nacho's safe, and then to a lesser extent why Mike went through with putting it there. The second question is less complicated. Mike likes Nacho and has advocated for his boss to let him out of the life. But that's secondary to his position in things. Mike works for Gus, and he's a loyal soldier. Mike can be sympathetic to Nacho's situation, but still acknowledge that he's in the game. He knows that not following orders could make him a liability and could get him killed. And he's not willing to go there for a guy like Nacho who knew what he was getting into. The situation with Werner illustrates this perfectly. Killing him was probably much harder for Mike to do, but at the same time, Werner knew he was going to work for a criminal and made the decision to run away from the compound on his own. Where Mike's drawing the line now is with Mr. Varga because he's a civilian. That's why we see him pocket that ID, because Nacho's father did nothing to involve himself in this situation. He's an innocent, and Mike can't abide him being forced to pay for his son's mistakes. Gus's motivations are somewhat confusing because his plan isn't that great, and they did a pretty good job of showing how the stress of that was getting to him in the first two episodes. It appears that Gus had planned to pin Lalo's murder on a Peruvian gang. Things didn't go as planned. All the mercenaries were killed, and then suspicion fell on Nacho, who survived. With him on the run, Gus decided to use him as a fall guy and sent him to this safe house where he gave him a gun, and Tyrus instructed him to shoot anyone who tried to enter the room. They put him on the second floor and hired a lookout to make sure he couldn't get away easily. This looked like a situation where he could strengthen his original story of who did this while getting rid of this loose end in the process. He put together the document for Nacho's safe. The bank transfers make it look like he was working for the Peruvians, and the motel's number gives away his location. He knows Bolsa will find the envelope and is hoping that when he sends guys, Nacho will be killed in the shootout that he's been instructed to start when they get there. Things don't work out how Gus planned though, because Nacho notices the lookout, he figures out what Gus is doing, and the cousins were disciplined enough not to kill him. They even took out one of their own guys that was trying to do that, which shows you that the plan almost worked. You might be wondering why he wouldn't kill Nacho himself, since he could potentially give up information if they catch him alive, and it's not a bad question. The thing is, his original plan fell apart, and now he's reacting as things are happening on the ground. Bolsa told him that Varga was a rat, so if he were to kill him, that would also look suspicious if the cartel found out. He had to weigh the options, and this is the choice he made, and it might turn out to be a bad one. That's my understanding of it. It's backed up from what I've read online, and I hope that'll help you make sense of it. Now let's shift to episode 3 and beyond. If teasers and speculation on things that haven't happened yet sounds like spoilers to you, then this is your chance to leave. The official synopsis for Rockin' Hard Place reads, "Still on the run, Nacho is forced to choose where his loyalties lie. Jimmy must decide whether he wants to remain a friend of the cartel after his reputation is called into question. Gus and Mike ready the team for a meeting." So the name probably goes along with that first part about Nacho. He got away from the motel, but his truck didn't make it, and now he's out there by himself. Jimmy's reputation being called into question is something we'll get into when we talk about this teaser. And then the idea of Gus and Mike getting ready for a meeting. There's a few new promo photos where we see the cousins with Hector away from Casa Tranquilla. It looks like Juan Bolsa's there as well, and of course they're probably meeting with Gus. The episode 3 teaser opens with a shot of Mike in his trailer. He turns as someone opens the door, but it's dark and there isn't much else to suggest what's happening here. There are 2 other shots with Mike. One shows Victor standing in front of him somewhere with the staircase behind him, and one at the chicken farm where he says anyone who goes after him is going to have to come through me. In this one, he's wearing the same clothes, and it looks like it's right after it cut away as he was giving Gus the phone to talk to Nacho. You can see that's who's standing in front of him, and he still has the phone in his hand. And I already touched on where I think Mike is, and I do believe he's talking about Papa Varga when he says that they'll have to come through him if they try to go after him. So it looks like we'll get a chance to see what develops from there. In the next shot, you see Kim and Jimmy share a kiss, which is in some ways reassuring after what went down with the Kettlemans at Sweet Liberty Tax Services. She seemed a little put off by him giving them the money after she left, but here it looks like she's holding his tie and is the one who leaned in to initiate this kiss. So at least in this shot, they look to be pretty happy together. Although at this point in the story, it's a little harder to understand what that means. He's wearing a different suit here that you see in a couple of different shots across these and in the promo photos for episode 3. He's wearing it at the end of this teaser when he hands a stack of cash to someone in the passenger seat in his car. He says, "You're not seeing the bigger picture," and there aren't a ton of context clues here. This may tie into that mention of him deciding whether he wants to remain a friend of the cartel in the summary, because I'm really not sure how that fits in with Lalo being south of the border. He could be giving this person his own money back. The other thing I thought it might be connected to is in the longer trailer, we see him sitting in his car with this device in his hand. And we also see that in one of the promo photos. It looks like it has some kind of circuitry, which is connected to a dial pad for one of the old mobile phones that they use at that time. And so maybe he could be buying this gadget that I don't really know what it is from this person. We'll have to wait and see. Next, there's a shot of Nacho on the phone, a landline in an undisclosed location, asking what happens now. The who, the where, all of it is a complete mystery as far as I can tell. It says he's forced to choose where his loyalties lie, but the actual options he might have are not crystal clear. There's one other Nacho shot where it looks like the cousins found his truck. It's cut to look like he's leveling his gun at them, but it's hard to imagine him doing anything but running, considering there are way more of them and he knows that they were trying to bring him in alive. The last and most interesting shot in this teaser is Kim sitting at someone's desk asking, "Are you building some kind of case against Jimmy?" This was a surprise because in the official season 6 trailer, it made you think that she was asking Howard this question. Now we see that it looks like an ADA's office, or at least it's definitely not an HHM office. And you can see the Jorge de Guzman file open on the table, and there's another close-up just to make sure you don't miss it. This is likely tied to Jimmy mentioning Lalo's name when he was talking to the detective and ADA on that case. I had a lot of comments that thought Jimmy might have let the name slip on purpose, but this came up on the Insider podcast, and they said it was related to him still not being recovered from his trip through the desert. So it was a mistake, and I thought all of this would come back up. It's not really clear why they're telling Kim about this or what they actually have on Jimmy, but it's an interesting development. I don't think this means that Howard won't also be coming for Jimmy, though. In the longer This Season On trailer, you do hear him say, "I need to know everything he does and everyone he talks to." I think there might be a connection with this to the teaser where you saw Howard talking to Jimmy in the boxing gym. In that, he says, "All roads lead back to you," talking to Jimmy, and there's a third person there in the final shot. Many fans speculated that this might be the same PI that Chuck hired when he was waiting for Jimmy to break into his house, and there is a resemblance even though it's out of focus. All of those things taken together makes you wonder if that's who you saw tailing them as they were driving away from the Kettleman's place. That seems to be a pretty good guess, and a lot of the internet talks about it as if it's already a fact. In the official trailer, we heard Kim ask Jimmy if he ever felt like he was being followed. At the end of episode 2, we saw that somebody was doing that, and now there's a possibility that the ADA might be onto him, the cartel is always a threat, and that Howard will also try to fight back. The last big thing from the longer teaser were more of these shots of a dapper-looking Lalo inside someone's house or apartment. He has a gun with a silencer, and this appears to be the next step he's going to take in his search for proof. Initially, I thought this might be in the US, but that seems less likely after seeing the first 2 episodes. It could be in Mexico, or it's possible he could leave the country. In an EW interview, when Peter Gould was asked if there were any hints he wanted to drop about the proof that Lalo is off to find, he said, "If fans watched the beginning of last season carefully, Lalo is making a bunch of phone calls and trying to understand what it is and Werner Ziegler was building for Gustavo Fring. And that would be a definite vulnerability for the Fring organization. He needs some kind of proof that Gus is plotting against the cartel. Otherwise, killing him while he's making big bucks for Don Eladio is going to be a problem for the Salamanca family. Does that mean he's going to Germany? It's hard to say, but I would have never thought twice about that scene if the showrunner didn't bring it up. So now I'm definitely thinking that. There are a lot of other minor shots that pop up in these. There's a shot of Huel with an unknown character, one of Francesca knocking on what looks like the door to his office at the strip mall. We might be seeing their reunion pretty soon. A couple of Nacho in a much nicer shirt than he had on when he was running. One of these might even be in Gus's trailer at the chicken farm. There's one of Howard running from his car towards a black SUV. The way that it's cut, it looks like it's outside of Los Pollos, but if you look closely, it looks like a different parking lot. And at the end, we hear Kim say, "I'm Saul Goodman, I fight for you," as she's making a punching motion, which reminded me of a Breaking Bad webisode and an old Saul commercial, which I could only find a 480p version of because it's so old. So you can check that out. I think that's a good place to leave things. Let me know in the comments what you think is going to happen next, what you think about these teasers, what do you see, what are you thinking? Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon.